All right, it will get rough, but we gonna make it. Suffering is universal, an inescapable fact of the human condition. It defies immunities of all kinds. Suffering despoils women and men, irrespective of race or tongue, wealth or poverty, learning or virtue, disregards merit or demerit, reward or punishment, honor or corruption. Like sun and rain, suffering comes unbidden. Yes. And suffering comes unbidden to the just and unjust alike. Yes. Beloved, suffering always means pain, disruption, separation, and incompleteness. Yes. It can render us powerless and mute. It can push us to the borders of hopelessness and despair. Yes. Suffering can maim, wither, and cripple the heart. Or to quote Howard Thurman, suffering can be a spear of frustration transformed into a shaft of light. I don't think you caught that. Howard Thurman says suffering can be a spear of frustration transformed into a shaft of light. Yes. This powerful observation of suffering comes from the pen of Mary Shawn Copeland in the book Cut Loose Your Stammering Tongue, Black Theology in the Slave Narrative. Her quote came from chapter 8 in the book where the title was Wading Through Many Sorrows, toward a theology of suffering in womanist perspective. Copeland then goes on to talk about how the black women of slavery time experienced suffering. Beloved, as we sit here 3 months into this new year of 2019, which I can't believe it's already March. I thought we just had Christmas. But as we sit here, you might have experienced some rough times along the way in 2018. Maybe all of your resolutions in 2018 fell through. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe you lost a loved one. Maybe you experienced divorce. Maybe you didn't do as well in school for my young ones like you thought you were going to do. Maybe you experienced what you didn't want to experience, or maybe you experienced and thought with your walk with Jesus. Let me rephrase that. You might have not experienced what you wanted to experience in your walk with Jesus, but whatever it was, I can bet that you experienced some rough times in 2018. Yeah. Can I get a witness? Yeah. That famous black Harlem Renaissance poet Langston Hughes wrote a poem entitled Bound North Blues. Langston put this poem in the mouth or mind of an African-American slave as they were escaping from that peculiar institution of chattel slavery. Our ancestors, beloved, experienced the blues as they escaped from the South to seek freedom and refuge in the North. In other words, they experienced the blues. And their times were rough. If you don't mind, I would like to quote this poem. Going down the road, Lord, going down the road. Down the road, Lord, way, way down the road. Got to find somebody to help me carry this load. Roads in front of me, nothing to do but walk. Roads in front of me, walk and walk and walk. I'd like to meet a good friend to come along and talk. Hates to be lonely, Lord, I hates to be sad. Says I hate to be lonely, hates to be lonely and sad. But every friend you find seems like they try to do you bad. Road, 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 oh. Road, 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 road. Can you experience the suffering? Can you hear the suffering? Road, yes. Road, road. On the northern road, these Mississippi towns ain't fit for a hopping toad. In 2018, you might have experienced this road that Langston talked about. Maybe you experienced a heavy load in 2018. Maybe you couldn't find anybody to help you carry the load last year. So you kept walking on the road of life, wanting to find a good friend to come alongside of you and talk. The writer said that he, she, or they were lonely and sad during this journey. And while on this journey up north, they hated to be lonely and sad. But while searching for a friend to come alongside of them and talk to them about these northern blues, they seemed to find people that did them bad. Have you ever been there?
Yes.
Have you ever been there? These so-called friends took advantage of them. These so-called friends had different agendas. These so-called friends might have been what the Isley brothers was talking about. They smiling in your face.
Yeah.
All the time they want to take your place. Those backstabbers.
Yes.
I see it. I hear it in the room. I hear it. Backstabbers. Well, he, she, or they kept on this road up north. They kept walking and walking and walking. The Mississippi towns wasn't fit for this voyager. The Mississippi towns couldn't hold down a hopping toad like them. This hopping toad had to find somewhere to flourish. This hopping toad had to find somewhere to thrive. This hopping toad had to find a waymaker that would provide for them a way made. In other words, this voyager had to find a higher power to help them on the road of the northern blues. Like the poem writer said, they had to rely on the Lord.